Hey, what up, Fire Mango? WSG? What's that, a new type of trend? WSG. White stupid guy badger? I mean, what does that mean? It means what's good. Oh, okay. Alright, so it's an acronym. Or, well, kind of. Okay, well, yeah. I was like, white stupid guy? Well, I mean, that fits, doesn't it? What up, Mango? How you doing? How am I doing? Crap, but you know what? I'm alive. That's what matters. Let me get a beer. And some edibles. Fire Mango, it's like 2 a.m. over there. No, it ain't. It's like maybe midnight. Yeah, no. It's almost midnight. It's almost, you know, 0 dark 30. What up, Great Gamer? How you doing? Hopefully you're doing better than I am. Why you up so late? Why am I up so late? Because I had to deal with the ex-puta. Pinche colera. Ella. You know, because she came to pick up, mijo. She came to pick up my son. And then, you know, she pulled some shicey shit, so I spent at least an hour, you know, going through it with her. Fucking A. She used to be so hot and cute. What happened? What happened? Now she's just a cunt. Hmm. Oh, brother. You okay? Just a little sleepy? All right. Happens, Captain. Yeah, it does. I'm kind of tired of it, honestly. I could live a much better life. But yeah, I could live a much better life. Shit, I could be living like a goddamn king overseas somewhere right now. The answer is yes. If I could just be a more self-centered me.
We receiving?
Oh God, it's a ghost in the airwaves. Oh. Ooh.
Walls. He's in the goddamn walls. You ever seen that show?
Which one? I've seen several where something like that in some way, shape, or form. You know.
I'm forgetting the name, but it's like these little like Muppets characters, but they're like not Muppets. They're like just like people, you know, like they're not cutesy or whatever.
Gremlins?
I'm forgetting the name. No, it's like on YouTube. And it's like Dan and Sam or something like that. Like just two dudes basically just chilling. I'm forgetting the name. I could find it later.
Well, I need you. Give me a sec.
Okay.
Ah. All right, I'm black. Yeah, no, I had to go, check the door real quick.
Yeah, as you do.
Indeed, as I do.
I got some stuff if you want to watch it, or if we just want to like hang out.
Well, I don't know. I really don't know.
All right, Great Gamer.
I'm just,
No worries.
Great gamer. I won't be here long because it's kind of late. I at least wanted to speak though. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, nice to see you around. It's been quite a while. Like I don't think he's been on in like 2-3 weeks.
At least about a month actually.
Yeah, I think he's the person who's been here on the channel the longest. Like, because he was on your previous channels as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's an OG.
Him and
Wolf.
Wolf is from the second channel to this one. The German one.
I know there's yeah, the German one.
She's been with me since
the beginning, it sounds like, from everything I've heard her say.
Yeah, basically the beginning. Yeah, basically the beginning. Dang, there's so many people.
Yeah, we got some big Starship Troopers news. If you want to hear about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
sure.
The animated film, the CGI film, that was released in 2017, Traitor of Mars, is coming to Netflix. So that's pretty cool. It's seeing its first like wide-scale release ever.
Great gamer. Plus, I just left bodybuilding event. I didn't compete though, just spectating. Okay, I get you. Yeah, no. Cool. Wait, Traders from Mars? That's the one that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one with the CGI where they actually do like the Marauder suits some justice, isn't that the one?
Sorta. So you had the earlier 2012 film, which was the first one of the CGI film duo. And then that has, so that's a different type of suit. It's not actually the Marauder suit. It's just a powered suit. They have the Mark II Marauder in the first movie though in 2012. Traitor to Mars though is kind of retcons a lot from the earlier films, because the CGI films are part of their Hovenverse. It basically retcons Rico from being from Mars as opposed to being from Earth, but that like completely ruins his character almost. But the rest of the movie is better, so it's like
so they kind of pulled it Invincible in a way.
Yeah. But like the action's amazing. Like they have like Rico killing literally like 10,000 bugs in a scene where he's just like flying through a canyon. It's peak. But it's I think it's because Sony owns the license, right? So it's funny they made Helldivers 2 when they literally had Starship Troopers game in production same time as Helldivers 2. But anyways, the actor who played Xander in the first film, the Starship pilot who was like the other love interest for Carmen.
Yeah,
he died recently. So he died like a month or two ago. So I think they're putting up some of the films on Netflix as just kind of a in memorial.
He wasn't a bad actor either.
No, he was a cool guy. I mean, he needed to be like the quote unquote antagonist for the movie, you know.
No, I'm just saying, like, as far as actors go, He was in a few other movies in either supporting cast or peripheral cast, from what I remember.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the actors in Starship Troopers went on to have like just other successful acting careers. Like, I mean, Casper Van Dien, he didn't really do like I don't want to be mean to him because he's a cool guy and like I've literally played the game with him before. He streams and everything, so he's a cool dude. But he did a lot of B-list and C-list movies, if you know what I mean. Like those really
Yeah.
bad early 2000s and 2010s movies where it's just like they're whatever. He just needed money. It's like the Nicolas Cage saga where he was broke and he was just starring in everything. So he did his best
Yeah.
though. Like if you actually watch them, he is a good actor. It's just like his acting career is a little bit tainted, just like Nicolas Cage with all these terrible movies. Still, really cool guy though. I really want to go to Comic-Con to meet him.
Freaking he's in the he's just under, I would say, someone like Michael Biehn.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Michael Biehn had the Terminator movies, right? He also he was in Tombstone with Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer. Fuck. Great gamer. Casper Van Dien. Yeah, that's who we're talking about. Now we're talking about Michael Biehn. But yeah. Wait, the Alien movies too. Because he was in one of them.
Yeah.
And he plays a great freaking grunt. I love him as a grunt. He's great at that. But yeah, and then the last one I remember him being in, Michael Biehn, was Tombstone. Yeah, where he played as he played the opposite of Doc Holliday, the other fastest hand in the West. I forgot his name. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot the name of his character, but yeah.
Here we go. I'm on Casper Van Dien's server, and I finally found it. I found the page of his acting rules. So he's been in Starship Troopers, Starship Troopers 3, Sleepy Hollow, Night Eyes 4, Fatal Passion, Tarzan and the Lost City, The Omega Code, Dracula 3000, Alita Battle Angel, the 2014 Sleeping Beauty, Python, Curse of King Tut's Tomb, Sanctimony, The Rules of Attraction, Shiver, Deadwater, All About the Money, Meltdown, Days of Destruction, Assailant, The Pact, Born to Ride, Salvage Marines, Daughter, Noobs, Avengers Grimm, Con Man, Sharktopus vs. Whale Wolf, Skeleton Man, Wednesday, Mad Heidi, Guns of Redemption, Ruthless Bastards, Murder at Hollow Creek, Battle of Saipan, The Flood, Country Line No Fear, and The Roasting of Captain America.
Sleepy Hollow.
He's been in a lot of bad movies.
No, Sleepy Hollow.
Work,
I like Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, well, there are some diamonds in the rough there. Definitely.
And I like Dracula 3000. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of fun movies, I would say. Like, I mean, you can't say Sharktopus versus Whale Wolf with a serious face and not laugh as Casper Van Dien is getting eaten by a Sharktopus.
Great gamer. Yeah, I like Sleepy Hollow too. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Sleepy Hollow is good.
Good times. Fun.
Yeah. The Roasting of Captain America was also pretty good. If you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen it. Great gamer.
Right,
Starship Troopers wasn't bad either. No, it wasn't bad.
Again,
wasn't bad.
Like I've said previous, Starship Troopers, great movie, terrible satire. I like Verhoeven, but he can't do politics.
Well, he's a lefty. they're incapable of, you know,
Well, yeah, but it
the
wasn't just Verhoeven. It was also the screenwriters like Paul Newmeyer and them
yeah, like I said,
who
you know,
just
they're
Paul Newmeyer read the book and completely misunderstood it, and it just
they're lefties. They cannot, they physically cannot conceive of anything that's right wing.
well, no, because Starship Troopers isn't right wing. It's written by Heinlein, and Heinlein at the time was a social libertarian. This is his social libertarian utopia. That's the technical politics of the book. If you break everything down,
No, I'm
Sergeant of
saying
Akkad is a great
from
video on it.
the well, we understand that, right? We do,
Yeah,
but these people are incapable of, because it's kind of like to them trying to, you know, how do I? Let's say they never knew what light was, and
yeah.
you're
No, I
trying
think I
to.
get what point you're trying to make, but I'm trying to make a separate point from that.
So
Basically, what they did.
we understand, you know, the variables at play. To them, there's only one avenue of perception for it.
Yeah. Well, I think I misspoke the example. So what actually happened is they wanted to make a sci-fi movie called Bug Post at Outpost 9, and they wanted it to be a fascist satire. And that would have been fine, but the movie never got greenlit until they used the name Starship Troopers. And then they had to go through and retroactively put a paint of Starship Troopers over everything. And so the satire ultimately ended up failing because they weren't able to actually commit to anything because they still had to follow the book to a certain extent. Because Paul Newmeyer did actually read the book, but he kind of misunderstood its message as well. And Verhoeven never read the book, and so it ultimately led to a lot of misrepresentation and misunderstanding of the source material. And that wasn't inherently because of their political standings, because had they went with the original movie, because the original script is online, would have been perfectly fine. I mean, you don't really need a movie to say fascism bad, but for what they were going for, I think it would have been perfectly acceptable. The issue was they tried to apply a skin over it, and that ultimately ended up, I wouldn't say ruining it, because it's a fun film. It's like a super fun film, and it's great, and the visual effects are great, and the story's great. But the political messages are just inconsistent and wrong, blatantly.
Again,
Rant over.
it's a telling from the zoomed in focus of their from only their perspective, essentially.
Yeah. I guess you could say that, but
You know, because then again, it is good that it's a happy failure.
yeah, exactly. Like I still think they made a really good movie. I just think it causes a lot of midwit ideology to surround the movie, and that's annoying because you can't just watch the movie and enjoy it. I have to go into a long-winded speech about how no, this isn't fascist. Please stop calling it that. That's just blatantly incorrect, and it just makes it frustrating to enjoy around people who I don't already know. Is kind of the thing, and it makes it annoying to be a fan of this franchise in general online because I have to constantly explain myself, and so you can see my frustration.
Yeah, that does get quite something, but
It gets old fast, basically.
what's the old saying? You know, don't engage with fools lest you become one.
Yeah, but I think it's up to me though, and up to people like me to explain it to get the message heard. Because once I explain everything, they tend to listen.
Some people, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, because most people aren't actually as dumb as they think. They just don't hear other perspectives because they don't go looking for it. But if you explain to them rationally and you don't talk down to them, then people will understand it and they'll take your side.
Or you find the willfully ignorant, where they're like, "Yeah, that's too much thinking.
yeah.
Let's move on." No, I don't.
It happens.
You're going 5 minutes talking about this one thing. No, man, tell me about the space bugs. Oh, shoot. Those guys drink every single night down the street from me. All the time. It's quite funny. The new Shalada, though, is really good. So, I mean, that's something. Shalada. There's a beer company from Mexico called Sol. Well, okay, technically Mexico, but technically whatever. Anyway.
Do you want to watch a guy turn in an original Xbox portable?
I think I already seen that one. Doesn't he like
you probably
basically reconfigure it and then?
Yeah, he's an electrician and
Wait
he
a
just
minute.
like cuts it apart.
Is he the guy that installed like its own self-contained
Yeah.
like screen and everything?
We're talking about the same guy. Yep. He's an electrician and he collects retro game consoles and he just butchers them for fun. He fixes some of them, but he takes like old broken systems and like makes them portable just for the fun of it. So he's done like a PS2, he's done a Virtual Boy, which I guess is technically portable. He's done so much like random stuff. He's done the the Viewmaster.
Oh man.
Prison handhelds. Yeah, he's done a ton of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
It sounds like it. No, but
yeah.
I remember when that for Xbox they used to have a like a tough case for them where you could then hook it into a TV.
They still have those.
I remember thinking that was wild.
I mean, they don't have them for this most recent generation, but like for the Xbox One, you could buy one. The Series X is just too big though. Like I can tell you, that thing is literally the size of a mini fridge. I'm pretty sure you have a Series X, right?
I got an S. The X isn't that big.
Oh, okay. It's big enough to be a problem.
It's
and
like
be annoying.
1/4 the size of a PC tower.
Yeah, but it makes it annoying to fit in. Well, it's like the PS5 is a giant, worthless piece of garbage, but it's not that big, and at least it's aesthetic. But it's just the black cube that sits in your room.
Yeah.
It's worse because I have it up on a dresser, so it's just like chilling there. You know, like the obelisk. It's kind of funny, but it's also like, you know.
Yeah, I get that. My freaking S is right in the middle of my dresser.
Yeah, exactly. So at least also like I had a Series S first, and you go from a Series S to a Series X, and the Series S is tiny, dude. Like, for being, it's quite portable. That's why I liked it, because you could take it just about anywhere.
Good night, gamer. I'll see you next time.
Oh, see you around, gamer. Have a good one. Hopefully see you in the next couple of streams.
Yeah, freaking. I still haven't really decided if upgrading to an X is worth it yet or not.
It's not. I wouldn't do it now because they're releasing a new one soon. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
Well, okay. So they're releasing. So they were planning on doing one with collaboration with Steam, so that your Xbox could just be a PC. Which is funny because the Xbox, its name comes from the fact that it was literally just a PC. It was the X operating system inside of a box, so it was the Xbox. So it's like we've gone full circle, you know?
Well, they are a type of computer.
Well, yeah, but like the DNA of Xbox is from a computer. And that's why programming on it was so much easier, and it was way more powerful than anything else that had come before it. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm just thinking of like, I think it was second generation, or was it the original generation? I forget which it was. Where, in the waiting screen menu, and you just listen and you hear the electronic voices. Damn, I'd be freaking awake at night, just like listening, just having a great old time. Just like trying to figure out what they're saying.
Easily entertained, eh?
Quite. Especially when you've been, in the same spot for a month straight, waiting for the same 1-day mission to finally get the green light to go. And you're doing nothing else but training, eating, gym time, and sleeping. It's like you got shit else to do at the moment. You read all the books, right? It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be a conundrum. I don't know. I mean, man, it's kind of weird to think because it's weird for me because even though my generation would suggest that I like, because technically I grew up in like the Xbox One era, but I always just had an original Xbox and 360 that I got from my older brother and sister. So it's kind of weird. I feel I don't know. You can probably relate to it that I am kind of out of place with the rest of my generation. It feels.
In certain ways. There's more of you than you think, though.
Oh, I never said that. I just said if you look at the general population in terms of also like political standings, etc. I'm pretty unique in that front.
Well, compared to the disparate population when it comes to your generation. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would say that's fair.
I mean, damn, a lot really has changed in so short a time. 20 years, and, I watched malls and, like, house hangouts go from existing to basically non-functional.
Well, okay, I think those things still exist. I just don't think they're they're just not in the eye of focus anymore. Would be the best way to say it, I guess.
Non-functional.
Well, still functional though, because I mean, from my personal experience, I grew up in a cul-de-sac neighborhood, which is probably why. But like, I've literally done all of those things, so I don't know.
I'll put it this way. If you're trying to get water into a cup through a lid, and a few droplets do make it through, does that very much matter in the grand scheme of all the rest of the water not making it into the cup?
I suppose not, but
Not really.
I think you still can't like flatly say one thing is true though.
You can, in order of magnitude.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, technically, yes, you can.
But yeah, the reason why I say non-functional is because your experience in the greater whole comparison is much lesser by a different order of magnitude entirely from, 20 plus years ago.
I mean, maybe, but there's no way for me to know that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, from my experience, in comparison to everyone else I know, I'm pretty much the only one who's had that. So it's like, you're saying one thing, but my personal experience tells me to believe another thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how you would slice that, you know what I mean?
Something's gonna break eventually.
Well, who knows how long that'll take, though.
I'll probably
You know?
be long dead and gone. Probably.
Well,
Although,
that's the hope.
my hope actually is that I'm still here once, the chains are removed, right? And the shackles of this facade called, civility is finally done away with. I'd rather get this done with some long-term lasting effects in my lifetime than my son have to deal with it all when he's a bit more older.
I mean, I guess.
Basically, I'd rather
don't know
win
if
the
that's-
war before he gets there.
Yeah. It's not a terrible goal.
I'd rather
But,
him.
I mean, I don't...
I'd rather him, rebuilding rather than, be the one that has to deal with the destruction and death and stuff.
Yeah. I think rebuilding is generally harder, though, so... But for almost different reasons.
No, I mean, compared to the much farther past, or actually, hell, even the recent past, it's a lot easier to rebuild nowadays, thankfully. A lot easier to rebuild now.
I don't know if I personally would... okay, sure, but a lot of things in life are just easier now, like, flatly, so... I think that's kind of a moot point. It's also easier to win a war now. Does it make wars any shorter? No, but it does technically change the math on things, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's almost a moot point.
Oh, yeah. Well, not so much because the scale of everything has changed dramatically along with everything else, right? I mean...
That as well, that's true.
Back in the day, we would... Well, actually, wait, even recently... Even recently, with how much of the tech tree we've demonstrated we've overcome, in the recent years, we've done a lot more, a huge amount more, with a huge amount less in recent time, especially when it comes to warfare. Unless you count like the Russia-Ukraine war. Which,
well, yeah, because that has devolved back into just trench warfare, in essence, with drones.
It's basically like kind of like Warhammer 40K in a way. As fucked up as that seems.
Well, actually, have you heard the stories about the people with purity seals and stuff from Warhammer on their uniforms and everything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's
So in some ways, it literally has become Warhammer 40K.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of funny to think about in a grim, dark sort of way, but
they have surpassed 1 million casualties as of this year.
Yeah. Well, the war's been going on for, God, like 4+ years now? Actually, no, like 6.
It started in 22.
I thought it started in 2020. I might be wrong there, because, you know, I haven't really kept up with it in a while, because there's a lot of misinformation from both sides, like in terms of, because I was keeping track of it for quite some time, but what I realized was most of my sources were being fed false information from Ukraine, so it was just kind of like...
If you go off of the actual start of hostilities between the two, then 2014.
I didn't care about that. Well, yeah, because the war technically it was just kind of slowed down, I guess would be the correct term.
But yeah, and then
it never fully stopped. Like how the Korean War is still technically on.
And then it fully escalated, you know, in I want to say 22.
Well, re-escalated really.
21. No, full escalation, because like it's different to have your special mission units doing something to mess with each other, whereas committing your whole military, right? It's difference between limited action and, you know, total warfare. You know, like sending some spies, you know, some officers from the CIA into the Soviet Union was not, you know, an act of war. It's not too dissimilar to that. But yeah, once they started the total invasion, that's when it really kicked off. But yeah, no, like that one is, it's a continuation of the wars, conventional wars we've had in Europe. Just more advanced tactics and, you know, technology.
Yeah, I've heard people say it's finally a return to the good old European ground war.
In a lot of ways, most certainly.
Yeah.
And friggin'...
drones have been crazy.
Oh yeah, they're pretty nuts.
Ukraine pretty much showed that warfare has changed, and drones are now required for any military. Both with and against, you need to know how to use and, you know, like, best counter them. Otherwise, North Korea happens and you have their elite soldiers shooting each other because the drone pilots knew how to fly them correctly. Yeah, they were literally, they have live feed of them friendly firing each other because the drone pilot would just fly up in their face and make them shoot the other guys because they just had no situational awareness for it. Because they didn't even know drones existed.
It was quite the thing to watch, you know, them engage in combat. Though, like, it was just exactly like seeing some of the training videos from the military propaganda stuff we used to watch. Like, oh, this is how the Chinese soldier trains. Or this is how the North Koreans do their military drills. And all that kind of some such, right? Or this is what to look out for in case someone might be KGB. Avoid the Russian hooker. You know, shit like that. When I was growing up, you know, we trained to fight, you know, the Russian military, essentially, which was kind of like the carbon cop. Everybody else basically copied the Soviets in a way. And so training to fight them was training to fight everybody. And just like...
Well, everyone in the Eastern Bloc anyways.
And then, you know, come to find out, in their first proper combat actions in forever, they just get greased by regular militia that we trained. Oh, Jesus. You know, like, I knew that there was, I knew they were kind of lacking, right? Except for their KGB and FSB guys, like, they were legit. But when it came to everything else, they kind of sucked. Like, they're tough as nails,
Yeah.
right? And they're Russians. When you say Russian, that means something. Just, you know, name alone.
That's true.
That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of was just like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to keep engaging with this because I'm just getting misinformation from everyone. It's just really not engaging. It was just like there was no point to it because I couldn't get any source of clean information. So I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna wait till this is all over and then I can retroactively look back through what happened, you know?
Well, that's part of the war as well.
That's true.
Much as it sucks, right? It would be nice to live in some fantasy land where everybody's telling the truth, but that's an impossibility.
Pretty much.
But that being said, it's a lot more hilarious when, you know, the Ukrainians are saying, oh, we're not doing strikes in this area. And then a Russian news anchor gets caught in the middle of a drone raid.
That's true.
Oh, shit.
Well, I mean, drones are such a big thing now. The new Abrams that the U.S. military has now officially announced and is entering service in the late 2070s or late 2020s, 2070s. Geez, the late 2020s will have drone capabilities. So it has a drone launching thing. So it has its like specialized military drone on its back,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has anti like drone defenses with ECM, and then you know, the 20 mil on top, and the good old Browning 50 cal. That and the it's like the T-14 Armada, where it's you have the tank itself and then the box with all the crew that sits inside. So a drone strike, unless it's like even if it had a shaped charge, it shouldn't be able to get through to the crew.
Well, that's all well and good, but anything that's like the Armada is going to be crap.
Well, oh no.
Bad comparison, I'm just saying.
Well, no,
shoot.
the Armada later on proved that it is actually real. They basically just had 14 incomplete prototypes they were rolling out because they wanted to look good, and it just ended up backfiring spectacularly. And now that they've been in this, and they went to war with Ukraine, so they haven't had the ability to finish them. So they just have 14 half-completed tanks just sitting there, and they're trying to get them out on the front line, but it's just not happening.
I love... wait, no, they tried to get 2 of them out there.
Yeah, they just didn't work because they aren't finished. They have mechanical problems.
Yep, one broke
Everything
down.
else on the tank is good. Yeah.
They tried to tow that one with the other one. It broke down.
Broke down. Yeah.
And then
Well,
the wrecker crew they brought out there got stuck. So
yeah. Well, like, and that was their fault for not learning the lesson of you don't send prototypes into war.
God almighty.
Something that basically, once it's fully baked, you'll get with the new M1A3 Abrams. But the Abrams is still better because it has drone capabilities, something the Armada just never accounted for. So
One
the
thing
Abrams
I
is
wonder. Yeah,
Oh.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Abrams is the tank of the future, essentially. But
The Abrams always has been. I mean, shit. They put a sci-fi engine into a big, giant, like almost 100-ton box, and made it go, you know, like 60 plus. So I mean,
well, the Abrams was relatively small for NATO tanks at the time. It was actually they've just beefed it up over the years because they've just kept adding stuff to it.
freaking monster! I swear it is. There's nothing like seeing one of those things. Just, you know, you're pulling security and you just see them zooming by, you know, going over down like on the sides of the road, and just zooming over terrain. And they're like twice the size of the Iraqi tanks. It's just like, and the Iraqi
Well, that's
tanks are
'cause-
just clunkering their way to and from it wherever they're trying to go, just getting nailed.
Well, yeah. Funny story. So you know that buddy who I've told you about multiple times, who was the tanker with the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
He once had to spend, no joke, 9 hours sitting in the tank in the middle of the desert because a tortoise had walked in front of it, and his crew was informed under no circumstance shall they move that tortoise or they will be discharged for messing with the wildlife. So they literally had to sit there in the middle of the desert with no supply until it moved, and they weren't allowed to go on the other sides because it was a fenced off area because it was a wildlife reserve.
Yeah, that shit's always been kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Because like,
Again, he was the driver, so he literally spent 9 hours laying flat because he wasn't allowed to leave the tank either. So he's just like, it was like being in an oven for 9 hours.
yeah, freaking, you know, you sweat some pounds off on them fuckers. But yeah, no, it always blew my brain how many places where wildlife preserves of some fucking kind, or an endangered species area, or some other bullshit like that, in the middle of a freaking training area.
Yeah, I know, it's really ironic, isn't it?
And then finding out recently, because I'm sure you've kept up with the, you know, deep state government files, exposés, and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
Finding out that they intentionally, a lot of the times, did that to military, you know, training areas to screw with the military and hopefully make us less effective. Because they're leftist fucking organizations that did this shit. My God. Just...
It is pretty funny. Like, and because it doesn't work, because they're just gonna keep going. They're just gonna waste everyone's time.
They failed. They failed successfully, essentially.
Yeah, they got their goal. It's less effective because someone's gonna spend 9 hours waiting for a turtle to move in the middle of the road.
Oh, brother. Although, the fact that there's a lot of shit that has been going on that people knew didn't make sense, but they just didn't question it, that's been exposed as purposefully being that way, and, you know, them just gaslighting everybody about it. God almighty.
Well, that's just what happens, because people will intentionally ignore truth if it doesn't align with their beliefs.
Well, it's not even so much that, right? Like me as a PFC, you know, doing my first training missions, and then I have to unrealistically navigate an extra 300 meters because this spot has some fancy fucking woodpecker. I mean, it just...
Hey, man.
0 cents. 0 cents. It's like...
Those woodpeckers.
Right, and then... just... It's so retarded. And I knew even back then, this doesn't make any sense. But because, you know, it comes from what's supposed to be a trusted institution, you kind of let it slip by because it's like, yeah, it's beyond your pay grade, right?
Exactly. Well, also because it helps them save money, because they only have to pay for... basically, it's so they don't have to pay for the military to be in a separate location and the wildlife reserve to be in a separate location. Gotta save dollars so we can send 10 billion to Israel.
You know what's so funny about the whole Israel thing? Is we've sent more money to everyone else combined. And Israel isn't even a drop in the bucket, but people are really harping on it. That one's... I find it interesting on that note, because it's like, well, if you're mad about expenditure, we've been trying to stop funding the war in Ukraine and let NATO and, you know, the UN take over that shit forever. But nobody's talking about that very much at all. Everyone's only zeroing in on, like, Israel, right?
Well, because a lot of stuff has come up with, you know, Israeli connections with Epstein and the like, and their connections with the deep state, and there's a lot of stuff on that. And there's also the possibility the entire U.S. economy collapses if Israel doesn't do a certain thing and they want to just screw us over. We just literally, our entire economy collapses overnight and can never come back.
Interesting.
But hey, the petrodollar. Yeah.
Interesting.
This isn't even a conspiracy. This is literally just, if Israel decides that, well, because once this war is done, they're at war with Iran so that Israel can have sole rights to all the oil in the Middle East, of transporting it out of the country, because they'll control basically the 3 pathways to the rest of the world for everyone except Russia and China. But Russia and China don't produce enough oil to completely subsidize their industry from the Israel-controlled oil fields. So the deal is going to be that they keep the petrodollar, though, so that the U.S. economy grows stronger. However, if Israel decides that, you know what, we're going to make the petro shilling, and now everyone is forced to buy oil in the petro shilling, well, the U.S. dollar has no backing beyond the petrodollar, so it retains no value. So our money becomes useless because it holds no value. And then the entire economy collapses overnight, and there's no way to fix it because we are so far inflated, and we have zero, basically any amount of monetary value outside of the petrodollar. There's just nothing. Like, we're just screwed completely. So it is in our best interest to prevent us from keep funding Israel, so that the economy does not collapse. But this is my libertarian perspective upon things, because I'm all about that economy, baby.
Quick question.
Economics.
What
What's
percent of our oil has anything to do with Israel at all?
Currently quite a lot, because we're in the Middle East. Because all of our oil comes from there, pretty much.
No, what percent? If you would guess, what percent? Before you look it up real quick.
Do you have a Chrome tab open?
No, I don't use Chrome. I use Brave. But
Well, yeah. You know what I mean. An internet browser tab open with the answer. Directly related to Israel, I don't know, maybe not even a percentage. Again, and I know you're Jewish, and I've zero problem with that. I have no problem with the Jewish
it's got
people.
it's got no bearing on that at all. I'm just, because here's the thing, is that I've been hearing a lot about certain, like, conspiracies like this one.
Well, this isn't a conspiracy. This is just literally what has happened and what could happen. The petrodollar is it's the enforcement by the U.S. that all of the world's oil must be traded in U.S. dollars.
So if our economy,
everyone except Russia and China,
if our economy is, you know, in such danger, I mean, I'm trying to make it make sense. Okay.
Okay.
It's 8%.
Yeah, of our money that comes from oil.
We only import 8% of oil from the Middle East.
Yeah, well, no, so you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not talking economically in the sense of what we make on it. It's economically enforcing that the currency has to be used so that it retains value. There's a difference. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. It's basically, instead of saying your money is worth a value in gold so it retains value, well, the dollar is worth a certain amount of petrodollar, which is worth a certain amount of crude oil, so that's where it holds value. And because it's enforced by the U.S. through its military control, it retains value.
Okay. I understand that's what you're saying. Now, one part of this is 8%. We're only reliant in any way, shape, or form from over there at all on 8% of import, right?
Yeah, import-wise. Okay. I'm not talking about import-wise.
All right.
No, I see what. So I see what you're trying. You're misunderstanding me. So I see what you're trying to say.
It's not the only part.
There's that, continue
right?
yours.
I've heard people saying this about Israel when it comes to petrodollar oil and stuff like that.
Well, because it literally is true.
Now, you're saying that Israel could decide instead to try to take that over, correct?
Yeah, because if they control the rest of it, then the U.S. loses its stockpile of oil, and good luck making it halfway across the world without any of it.
Do you know where we get the vast majority of our used oil?
Well, we import it. Because I know Alaska has oil, but it hasn't had oil in quite some time. We also have oil fields in Texas, but those don't make up nearly enough to keep the U.S. military going, because you have to consider you have the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and the Marines, who all need it, on top of the civilian population.
Very true.
And I know we did get oil from Russia for a while. We stopped, but I think we're back at importing oil from Russia. But Russia doesn't have enough oil to completely subsidize our needs.
So, you know where we get the majority of oil from? Only for reasons of, when it comes to their complete and total capacity because of their international trading partners. Do you know where we source the majority of our oil?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Canada
but I
and
assume
Mexico.
You have a browser open.
So
Yeah, but you have to look at where they
Canada
get
and
their
Mexico,
oil from.
right? Now, well, I'm getting to it. Now on top of that, we're also a major exporter as well. So there's that as well, right? So we're roughly 70% of export to dozens of international partners when it comes to oil. Now on top of that, right, when it comes to our import of oil, the vast majority comes from Canada and Mexico, and then Venezuela is rising quickly as the third. So
Yeah, well,
there's
the
that.
issue with Venezuela is they're trying to tap into it, and it's just going to take a while to get to it.
Oh, we've already started. We've already started, shipping and all of that.
Well, yeah, but to ramp up to max production, yeah, it's going to take a while.
Venezuela themselves, their capacity right now needs to be rebuilt and grow again, right? Because they only needed enough to supply Cuba, and China and Russia, but they weren't able to take that much as as we can, or as quickly. So their capacity does need to be built up. But yeah, so with all of that being put there, now let's go to how you think Israel could take over the position of the United States. How would they affect from this, hypothesis, right, that you've got? How would they affect us in such a way to make that happen?
Okay, so what does all this international trade rely on?
Oil.
Well, no. What do we use to buy and sell? Money.
Indeed.
Money has to inherently have some sort of value to be worth something.
It does.
So, if Israel, the US dollar, as I said before, has no actual value, it has a floating value in a separate monitored currency known as the petrodollar, which is the enforced rule that everyone must use to buy and sell oil. And that's why the US dollar retains value. Okay. Israel, after it wins this war, because it's going to win the war, I mean, let's be frank here, the US has decided, like, this is all just statements, and what they're going to do after the war is that Israel wants control of, I'm forgetting the exact point, but it allows them to have, they have the bottleneck for all the oil that gets exported up through Europe, down into South America, and across Africa and North America. All right. If Israel decides to stop selling that in US dollars and say, okay, in order to get this oil, you have to buy it in our currency, the petro shilling. Well, now what happens to the US dollar? It has no backing. So it doesn't matter that the US is importing from Mexico and Canada, because the US has no money anymore. It ceases to exist.
Okay. So you're saying that Israel would be able to militarily enforce a economic detente upon the US?
Yes, because the US would run out of oil eventually. Before the point they would be able to go back to Israel, even with their quick response teams and like scattered across the globe. It would be a monumental effort and also a public disaster, because if you look at public support for Israel, it's much higher than you would think, and most people would not want us going to war with Israel, especially a lot of the Israeli communities scattered across the U.S. And of course, the people in the U.S. government, who most of which are Jewish and support Israel, and would support Israel in this action.
Okay, so you're basing... Okay, so you think Israel has the ability and capacity essentially to control the U.S. and stop the U.S. from, you know, putting a stop to any of its shenanigans, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's been shown before.
How so?
Like with Gaza. I mean, I don't support Gaza or Hamas. They're both terrorist organizations, but the U.S. has left Israel alone to do what it wants in that situation.
How so?
Well, A, they didn't send anyone to Israel during that time to help off with Hamas. I mean, they did send aid groups over to the Gaza Strip and the like, but there was no military action taken against Israel or Hamas by the U.S. So they just literally left it alone. Even though it was technically considered a global crisis, though, it was kind of just another Middle Eastern thing, so.
Okay. And are you aware of any times that the U.S. has both halted and then gave the go-ahead for Israeli operations?
Yes, this current, the U.S., Iran-Israel war. Because they're in a joint military operation.
Well, there's that too, yes. But I'm talking,
Yeah.
so specifically when it comes to Palestine, Gaza, and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, no, well, pretty much no one has talked about that because there's no information surrounding that as of because it's still going. We have to wait until everything's over, basically, because we have no idea if there were any communications or not. But I would wager there was, and no action was taken. Again,
Okay, so
you know,
just to ensure, I know what you have. I know what you know at this point in time. You're saying that the U.S. has not at all been able to, you know, stop or greenlight Israeli operations. Period.
yeah.
Okay, and what you're saying is that Israel is controlling the U.S.
I wouldn't say directly, but they have pulled the U.S. into fighting for them a number of times. Yes.
Pulled us in how? Which ones?
Well, most recently, well, you have all the stuff that happened through the 50s up to the early aughts, and then with all of the stuff that happened in the Middle East, more than we could talk about here. But if we want the most recent relevant example, we have the Israel-Iran war, which they started, but the problem is we are also the standing military for Israel. So whenever they get involved, we have to get involved, basically, because they have the IDF, but that's technically a defense force. So in order to launch this operation, they had to have U.S. help. And so the U.S., well, the U.S. technically didn't decide as a whole. It was the president who decided, and then the rest of the U.S. was forced to follow.
Okay. And so...
And we know Donald Trump has connections in Israel.
As
do stuff we have.
As does literally everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's not even a relevant point, but all right. So, and in all of that, right, you are saying that Israel pulled an ally into a fight not based on anything else but just trying to drag us into a war, right?
Oh no, they want full control of the oil in the Middle East, and the U.S. wasn't making it happen fast enough, so they just declared a full war against Iran or
Okay.
Iraq. Yeah.
And you said who attacked whom first?
Israel attacked. Well, technically, quote unquote, the U.S. was there from the start, helping the IDF, and they launched the attacks together.
So you're saying that this is an unprovoked war?
Yeah, because Iran, in fact, well, you could talk about the nuclear program, but Iran's nuclear program didn't really exist, for one. I'm not saying they're innocent, they did technically have a nuclear program that they were stopped to ask, and they didn't, which provoked a response. However, they were nowhere near. It's like how they said there were WMDs in Iran in the early 2000s, and yet nobody found any. Crazy how that happened.
Iraq.
It's almost like Iraq. Yeah. It's
yeah.
12. Two very similar Middle Eastern countries with two very similar stories on how both happened and how both are continuing.
Okay.
All over the same ultimate end goal.
While we did find materials to produce so, technically, they didn't have completed materials on hand when we got there. So yes, that is correct in a way. Now...
Yeah, but having the instructions to build something and having the capabilities to build something are two entirely separate things.
Now,
you can go online and figure out how to build a bomb. Now, do you have the components and actual knowledge to do so? No. So two completely separate things.
And it depends on where you are as well. But yeah, so now to go to Iran. What % of enrichment do you actually need in order to have a nuclear reactor?
Too late to be asking for specifics for a conversation I was not prepared to have.
I'll just say, you don't need to go above a certain percentile at all for a fully working, fully functional nuclear reactor for energy.
Well, yeah, but nuclear reactors for energy are perfectly fine, and countries should be allowed to have them.
Indeed.
I think actually the entire world should switch to nuclear energy because it's by far the safest and cleanest energy source, and produces the most power, is the least wasteful, and creates the most high-skilled jobs, help boosting the economy.
That too, yes. It'll be great. Now, you're saying that them enriching specifically for nuclear weapons is not an issue.
Well, the issue is we can't say for certainty for which they were enriching to.
Oh, they already told us with certainty themselves and the different organizations that did the inspections, right? And these aren't all related organizations directly either, right? You got multiple international entities that all said the same thing. So, on the nukes part, I mean, they literally told us themselves, yes, we have enough to arm 11 nukes. And with the range far enough to hit Diego Garcia, that puts all of Europe in their sights, right? So, well, actually, in every American base within that circumference as well. But anyway, but that all aside, okay, when it comes to Israel, your stance is they control the U.S. and we have zero say in the matter, essentially.
In essence, yes, because repeatedly Congress has gone against decisions. Even this is a right-leaning Congress, and Senate has repeatedly gone against decisions made by, the people above them in support of actions for Israel. Because generally for us, it's very poor to help them. So, mostly because it's cost us a lot of money, and we've had to up the military budget more. We're at like $1.3 trillion yearly, I think. We've hit a new cap. Oh, well, the debt ceiling is still rising. Well, it's hit its peak, and we've just grown so far. We're in a hole so deep, there's no other way to crawl out of it than deeper. And hopefully we pop out the other side fine.
And they're working on that, thankfully, albeit slow.
No, it's a drop in a bucket of what needs to actually be in order to make any reasonable, meaningful effect.
I don't know, the cutting off of everything so far when, because you got to remember, these are long,
Yeah, so they cut 200
money pits that we're talking about. Like
yeah,
USA,
we cut off 200,000. 200,000. We cut 200,000. God, I can't. 200,000 people, but then we upped the military budget by like $1 billion, and so it didn't matter. The issue is the military inherently. I'm not against the military at all. We spend way too much on it, and it really should only be a reactionary force. And
no,
I think our interventionist stance.
Because once nukes are flying, bub, you don't want to wait for that to happen. I'm just saying.
No,
I've been next to.
We are.
I've been too close to big giant bombs going off, and a nuke. Yeah, no, thanks. I don't want that to have any chance of even potentially.
Well, you have literally the rest of NATO, who is responsible for safety, and I think we could reasonably pull out of NATO and focus on our country because we are putting everyone else ahead of ourselves and country.
That part is
because
true.
we were never ready to take on what Great Britain was doing for the world. We didn't have things figured. Now we don't have anything figured, and we're in charge of everyone else, and we just keep throwing money at the war because it's our only advantage over us, besides our geographical location.
But yeah,
we have to have the biggest stick to keep everyone else in line because we don't know what else to do because we have no language.
Well, the universal language of humanity is and always will be violence. That's never going to change.
The supreme force of which all other forces derived.
I would rather the United States be the supreme force of planet Earth than like China or Russia.
Well, there wouldn't be because you have a coalition of. NATO itself is bigger than China.
NATO itself is bigger than Russia, and look at what's happening in Ukraine still.
Well, that's because NATO isn't technically by all senses.
So the thing is, right, is that we actually give a lot more to NATO and the UN than
everyone else does. We make up 65%.
Then we give to almost anyone else.
Oh yeah, again, that's why I said we could reasonably pull out of it, save a ton of money, and then we pull out of everywhere else, just on an interventionist stance. Used to.
What I would like to see is us maintaining our position at the top, but stop feeding these ungrateful, spoiled brats.
Well, no, that's still a money pit the taxpayer to. That's over.
Well,
I think
I'm
we
I'm
just
talking
have,
about no expenditure to them at all, right?
well, you still have expenditure though by nature of having to be elsewhere. If we move everything local, then we can cut down funds exponentially, and then we can decrease the military. And then if we switch all of our production to domestic production, because unlike everywhere else, we are one of the few countries with the domestic capabilities to pretty much be fully self-sustaining.
Which is something
And then
else
we can
that's
just
being
focus.
worked on too damn slow.
Yeah, so if we cut military spending, we move out of the rest of the world. It would take about a generation or two of life sucking just as much now, and we have to raise prices, raise tariffs, and we have to focus on domestic production. But once you look to the other side of that, well, then we return to how we won. We held our interventionist incredibly strong, but we also had an incredibly strong economy.
The only trouble with the isolationist view is that isolationism didn't work.
Well, it did. We just wanted to get involved with one power. It was a presidential trying to overstep boundaries of the American. However, we never, because we were so far away from war, never saw the consequence of that.
Oh no, I mean America at around the 2000s, around Y2K, we had ceased everything, essentially. Right?
No, because
I'm speaking of a very specific tiny period of time, right? Because we weren't any longer doing what we used to do in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, right? We cut that shit down
the Cold
real
War
hard.
was over.
We cut it down real hard, right?
Well, yeah, the USSR collapsed. The Cold War was over. Now we could look forward to peace for all time.
Supposedly, right? How wrong they are every time. But during that brief time, we were not directly pushed into nothing during that time.
Well,
And
yeah,
then,
but also I think something to know is if we removed all military spending, we are literally around 30 years technology and just equipment wise. We could literally sit there and do nothing and then everyone else would still be behind.
you're breaking up a lot, by the way.
I think it's my internet going out because it's late.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, that being
Yeah.
said, so there's that. The time before that was before World War II. And the time before that was, of course, World War One. Even when we've tried to stay away from things, just by the dint of the fact that we share a planet, trouble's coming to us.
Well, it wasn't though. One sec. A lot of people consider the Lusitania sinking to be the start of the U.S. That happened years before we ever got in. And the Zimmerman message to Mexico, well, looking back on it, was probably by the British and sent to the U.S. Intentionally so.
Some shenanigans somewhere happened, right?
Yeah, and
You don't need
objectively,
You don't need to get into the nitty-gritty details. Just keep it to the
Well, I mean-
simple basics, right? But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You kind of do, though, in order to make the point that us breaking our isolation only happened after the after World War One, and after the general shift of classical into modern liberalism in the American public in the 20s and 30s. There is a entire political shift and change in our views that just completely swapped from World War One to World War Two in that interwar period, and it just completely changed how we. But when you look back previously, we were doing perfectly fine up until really the 70s, like from around 1920 to 1970. Modern liberalism was a good thing for the U.S. and it created many benefits to classical liberalism, but it was ultimately a ticking time bomb waiting for the next generation to pay, because all of those benefits come with a receipt that just didn't have to be paid until later. And that's what we're dealing with now, is the repercussions of those actions. But a lot of people don't look at the roots of these problems. Instead, they look to try and fix the problem without addressing it, thus only making it worse. And then the cycle repeats, realistically.
The thing is that one way or another, we're ending up involved in something. We don't have to like it.
Well,
Hell, we could be directly opposed to it in every way. But trouble is either going to come to us, or we're going to stumble into it. That
I would
is the entire point of where I was going, essentially. Because the thing is
well,
that even those...
I agree with that statement.
I mean, even those times where we did try, someone still screwed with us.
Well, okay, I know what event we're talking about, but we are on YouTube, so I can't get into this, and I don't have enough time to get into this tonight, that's for certain. But let's say the moment that happened with a certain set of towers on a certain day in September, let's just say there's a lot more behind that generally people won't talk about. And it's probably the biggest attack of the U.S. government upon its citizens ever. But that is a long for another day.
There's a huge amount in that one.
There's a huge amount pointing to one thing being true, and there's not a lot pointing to the mainstream narrative. There's a lot of contradicting evidence there.
That being said, I was actually reaching all the way back into our, farther history for that one. Because what happened what happened basically immediately after, we won the war for independence?
Oh, well, that was a separate problem with the Articles of Confederation.
No, I'm not talking about internally.
Well, externally, are you talking about the War of 1812 then?
Before the War of 1812.
Are you talking about the trade blocking that was happening with Britain at the time, between the U.S. and the Spanish and French were kind of stepping away from the issue, and us and Britain were having a Cold War, essentially.
Just
talking about that?
Just right before that.
Well, what event are you specifically mentioning then?
The Barbary Pirates.
Oh, yeah.
We had nothing but doing trade with somebody else. That was it. That was all.
Well, okay, that's
And
because
then,
Britain at the time,
and then the Barbary Pirates.
yeah.
And yes, you're right. Like around that same time period, even France started screwing with us.
Well, yeah, because France was mad it wasn't getting its money back, but we hit them with, well, the king, we promised to pay back the king, and you guys don't have a king anymore. So,
Pretty much.
yeah.
But yeah, so
We still owe France that money. We've never paid that back.
and here's another thing, right? Is that there is no time in history you can pick that does not have us being affected externally. Even though we are our own separate, continent from everybody else.
That's because ultimately we built our economy upon trade. We just never took the final step into self-sufficiency. We had gotten close in the late 1800s with industrialization. We just never fully pulled the trigger, and that ultimately led to things getting worse. I think if we had fully industrialized and we had fully moving away from outside reliance, then we could realistically still have our military, have the biggest stick, and nobody messes with the guy with the biggest stick.
No, people still mess with the guy with the biggest stick. They're just crazy.
Yeah.
They're insane. They're psychos. And there's a whole culture of them that exists on this planet.
Well, it's a lot harder for them to attack us when we aren't over there.
Religion, and ideology rolled into one. But yeah. But even with that, right? Even if we got accomplished everything that, that doesn't stop anyone from coming over here, period.
Well, it puts a big incentivized button and the yield and, pull up the chart with the fuck around and find out meter.
Well, true. But, I mean, current tech, today completely negates the advantage of having a whole ocean between us and everybody else.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about that. I pose to you this simple question. What do you do to a country that is completely self-sufficient, has no need for export or import, has a active standing military, has all of its sources of power deep within its country, and has a really nationalized citizenry that don't put up with stuff and are actively in control of their government and actions? That was the United States.
You break them apart from within. Exactly,
like we're seeing now. But you can't do that unless they open up to people, which is why you create a national. This is where Hoppian ethics comes in, and the difference between Hoppianism and classical libertarianism, this would be closer to national libertarianism, which is a sub-ideology that leans pretty much as far right as you can get, wherein you want freedom from your government, but you also want your government to be free from the rest of the world. And it's kind of what I found myself in recently, wherein, I do feel that the US is uniquely advantaged in that position.
Oh, it sounds so nice.
Well, it is achievable. Like, just blatantly, we almost got there once. It is entirely possible. It would just take... would take a string of leaders who knew what they were doing. B, it would require mass education of the people upon what we need to do. And unlike, other systems like Marxism, this one isn't built upon a false lie, or the ideal of a welfare state that will ultimately collapse in on itself. because a state run by the people will be as strong as the people are, and if the people are required to produce for themselves, well then the entire system is self-sufficient and can run itself forever with zero problems. And any outside threat is quickly dealt with and then moved on from.
God, that sounds nice. Reality won't allow for that, but it sounds nice.
Well, if you have that thinking, then nothing will ever happen. However, you have to look to the best future possible and make your way towards that, or to a version of that. Is true self-sufficiency possible now? No. Can we help the process? Yes. Can we cut the military down and move them back to our borders? Yes. There's a lot of steps we can take to get close to that. Of course, that's the utopian ideologized version. Sure. But we can make changes to help push our current standing into that so that we have a better.
The thing that won't allow for such things to be carried to fruition fully, simple human nature.
Exactly, but you can calculate for it.
No, you can't. You're talking to a guy who did risk matrix calculations for missions on missions.
Well, no,
You can
the difference.
You can only count so close for human, when it comes to human reaction, when it comes to anything related to the human animal, you can never truly know, ever.
Sure, but this Hoppian the Hoppian political ideology has a failsafe for this.
Oh yeah, what is that?
And that is, it allows the community to forcefully remove any individual that the community has deemed to be. Like, sure, you have the non-principle, which is the core principle of libertarianism.
Wait, so basically going back to true Christianity, then.
Well, I mean, sure, if you want to call it that, because a lot of the values are shared.
No, they come from Christianity. So basically, to like encapsulate it, simplified, essentially true Christianity.
If you wanna see it that way, sure.
Not where it's like you have to be religious.
Yeah. But
I'm saying the origin of that.
The Hoppian system, says that, whereas a left-leaning libertarian or classical libertarian would say, within the non-aggression principle, well, that guy should be allowed to spend all day, dosing heroin on a park bench. The Hoppian or far-right-leaning libertarian would rather say, no, that person is inherently harmful to the community and actively degrades us. And he's going to ruin our economic stability by making our, self-funded welfare programs have to spend money on him. And he is a higher risk, so we must remove of him, and it just helps the community inherently. And that is the Hoppian system. It's libertarianism, but it allows for the body of people to be able to remove harmful threats so that the entire system doesn't get polluted and die.
Yeah,
as it creates a system.
Basically how things kind of used to be.
Exactly. Well, again,
that'd be great
it's almost
to
like
go
we
back
survived
to.
for this long, and we never had this problem for millennia.
That'd be wonderful to go back to, especially as a soldier.
Well, it's specifically because the government has set out to divide us as communities and separate us from each other.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of tired of saying just the government.
Well,
CIA, you know, they did that, right?
well, but who do they work for?
And
You know.
well, themselves more than anybody else, apparently. Now that's confirmed.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, John Kirikou, or whatever his name is.
Kiriakou. I know
Yeah.
Andrew as well.
Yeah.
You know, I met him a few times before he became a.
The whistleblowers of all whistleblowers.
I don't believe shit that they say that's not already shit I know about. I don't. I mean, look, K, he's upfront about stuff, right? But it's everything that's already approved and public knowledge.
Well, of course, he doesn't want to be shot in the middle of the night.
You know, with Andrew, he definitely made a deal. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Again,
and then with
it's more for entertainment value.
And then with what's his name? The younger kid. He came out around the same time as Grush. He's got a sharp face.
You know what his name is?
He's got a sharp face. I think he has blue eyes and straight hair. Fuck. I'm trying to remember him, but he's another one of them that's out there. You know, but well, anyway, yeah, no, not just the government, because that's giving too much competence and credence to the totality of the institution of government, right?
Well, I mean, sure, but you also have to recognize the existence of the deep state. So referring to the government is more apt than just saying the CIA.
Well, you know, CIA was the bigger part, right? And then next to them is the NSA, which is part of their apparatus, right? People think of them as two completely separate, or they're not. I've worked with these people. They're not. They work together all the time, and a lot of commingled teams will have NSA and CIA in them when it comes to, well, anyway. And then just how, you know, armed services will work together, like in SOCOM, right? Or SOCOM, as some call it. In Special Operations Command, you'll have, you know, Army pilots ferrying around some, you know, Navy SEALs mixed in with Green Berets, some Rangers, right? And then you'll have some Marines there as well. And then, you know, all these guys are all working together. Each are bringing their own special thing they're going to be doing to the mission. And it's a combination of elements, right? Same thing happens between all the agencies in the government, including the military. So you'll get guys who are like CIA, who are, you know, working on an NSA team, who are assigned to, you know, look into something that's related to, you know, let's say this international crime syndicate that's targeting U.S. military personnel or something, right? Or an international terrorist organization, an ITO. On these task forces, all these guys are working together. And they're all, you know, doing their own thing, yes. But they're very much intermarried organizations. And one thing people miss when they're speaking of the deep state is that when it comes to these teams of people in between these agencies who all work together with each other, think of them as like part of the layers of a sandwich. The bread, of course, you know, on a sandwich, what is that? Well, that's the government and the people. Working its way in between are the agencies, and the ingredients between that are the teams within the agencies that work together with each other. What people fail to realize is that the deep state is called deep, not because, you know, I don't know if this was originally that, but there's quite a few people who call it the deep state because of the fact that these personnel who are in these combined teams and maintain those teams between themselves, and due to compartmentalization between the top when it comes to agencies for deniability happens, these people are still doing what they want in between using each other in different agencies. So even if you cut some heads off the snake, well, it's got, you know, tumorous heads within its gut and gullet and all that kind of shit, right? So, like, the reason why these people are so hard to root out is because they all work with each other still in opposition to who their bosses are supposed to be.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people miss that. It's not the whole government, but if you have 5 guys in one CIA office, right? Or we'll say, well, you have 5 guys in one CIA, whatever. You'll have 5 in the NSA. You'll have 5 doing DNI shit. You'll have 5 that are contractors. You got 5 that are, you know, in the military somewhere working with these guys at a higher level. 5 that are intel, you know, HSI. Pick your agencies and throw them together. Guaranteed there's a bridge between all of them that is based upon those existing personnel and the ones they bring up into their fold.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not just like, you know, every Jack, Terry, and Bob in the building are bad people. But amongst them,
of course not.
But amongst them are those that most certainly are doing it.
Well, you can't say the conspicuous people who work in the government under the CIA every time you want to say the government.
So yeah,
You know?
like it to me it's just annoying because there's no better way to encapsulate it than to say government. It's just tiring because it's like shit. There's a lot of stuff under that.
Exactly.
It's a hell of an umbrella. Well, anyway.
Anyways, it's about 1 a.m. so I'm gonna pop off here because I'm tired, low key.
Oh damn, we have been going for 2 hours, haven't we? We're basically doing Joe Rogan episodes.
I mean, I've never watched one, so I don't know.
Oh man, you should watch the ones with Alex Jones. Dude, they're great. Whether or not you like him, they're great.
I don't know. I don't got the free time for that.
Well, any Jew. Yeah, no. Hey, maybe that's something else I could try out. Doing interviews or some shit.
I don't know. That'd be cool. Maybe.
I'll look into it. I mean,
we pretty much do interviews already. Like, we would just have to get some video cams up in here.
Technically, I'm still participating in university, so I might have access to some people. We'll see. It'll be fascinating.
Okay, well, you have a good one, Badger. So.
You as well. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
I just have to be up in the morning because my niece is coming over because my mom's going to go pick her up early and then she's going to spend the day. And then she needs help taking care of her because she's like 5 weeks old, so.
I get you.
Yeah, I got to be up early, so. Well, it's been a fun one. It was a decent conversation.
It was pretty great. Yeah. Now, be gone with your anti-Semitism.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, I'm a terrible person.
You long hair hating guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you follow that with? What do you do after that?
I don't know. I've never got how people make that conclusion though, because it's like, and then they go on to do something like, man, I hate the CCP, and it's like, so you hate all Chinese people? Like, I've never got that line of reasoning.
The funny thing is that there is truth to them feeling that way, because when you look into the vast majority of it, it does boil down to just people being anti-Semitic.
Well, Israel doesn't
But
have Semitic Jews. They're a different type.
there
Literally,
is
it's like
no, there are
there are
ancestral Jews
some.
that live there, right? You know, it's just that they kept on getting wiped out by everybody else around them. So yeah, the population is still kind of low, but there's still, yes, there are ancestral ones that live there and have been there the whole time. But yeah, no. What do you follow that with when you call someone an anti-Semite? What else are you supposed to say? You
They're a
anti-Semitic?
bigot.
What? No, that's a
Bigot.
leftist thing. That's
Well, yeah, I mean,
leftist.
yeah.
That's leftist stuff. I'm trying to do it from the
I
right
don't
wing
know.
side of things. I can't think of a way to do it though.
I don't know, because we generally don't do it.
That's true.
we never thought that far. We never get past step 1. Why would we need step 2?
The left cannot empathize or sympathize with anybody right wing, and the right wing is good at parodying the left. It's such a one-sided thing.
I don't know about all that. Anyways, for real this time, I'm gonna pop off, so I'll see you around,
Okay,
Badger.
fine. I'll
Yeah,
just have
yeah,
more
yeah.
beer and play games. I don't know. I'll do something.
Oh no, woe is you. How terrible a
Woe is
life.
me. Well, at least I'm in like a halfway decent bunker, so I mean, things could be worse.
When the bombs drop, you'll be fine.
When the bombs drop, I'll have a higher chance of survival. Probably not
Yeah.
exactly fine unless everything misses me, but yeah.
Okay, Discord, can you let me leave? Phone, please?
All right. Buenos no cheese, bub. All right, that being said, I got to pizzle and get another beer, so I'll be black. Great music, though. Need to pizzle and get beer. I am black. What should I do? And I totally forgot to put the freaking stream into the bug. You know what? Maybe 2 hours is good enough. Well, anyhow, yeah. 3 hours should be plenty. Well, okay, 2 hours, whatever. Not 3, 2 hours. That said, thank you for joining me. Be good, be safe, make good life for yourselves, and I will see y'all in the next one. I'm Better 7 Actual, the formerly known as Veteran Blast Cat Badger. Good night, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.